Hey there, I have a Twitter. Go follow it. Okay, on with the show. So originally I was going to do a how not to critique style video on Star Giant Productions' take on the Surfgate City song from the Animaniacs reboot, but I decided to take a stab at her Loud House review instead. While her take on the song was really dumb,
I've just been informed that cartoons don't have the right to vote!
Well, yeah, cartoons aren't real people.
That's the fucking point!
her take on the Loud House is even worse. I'm just gonna come out and say it. This is one of the most surface level and shallow reviews of anything I've ever seen. Similar to how I structured my response to Mr. Enter's Rise of the TMNT review, I'll remove all of my biases towards the Loud House to critique this video, so I don't sound like I'm from its absolutely horrible fandom.
That is not true.
And yes, I will concede that the show overall is not good. However, just because I don't like the show doesn't mean I agree with everything in this review. I mean, you already knew that. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get
Here's
started.
it, Rob. You can't go through seasonal rot unless your show starts off as good. I bring this up because with the Loud House now being 5 years old, people have been saying that the show is going through seasonal rot, which I have to disagree with, because the show was never good.
One problem I have with this video is that she'll constantly bring up these arguments like this show was never good or this show has a feminism problem, which no it doesn't, and she never elaborates on them. She just kind of lets it sit there, which is something you really shouldn't do, especially with an argument that doesn't make much sense. Oh, and also, not too long before she made this statement, she said that she used to really enjoy the show, and now she's going back on that by saying it was never good. Care to explain? The argument of the show having a the argument of the show having a feminism problem probably still wouldn't make sense even after elaboration, but at least you could say that she backed her claim up. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Our first one is the baby of the family, Lily. I don't like her, but it's not because she's a horrible character, at least compared to the other sisters. It's because babies in animation are not usually good characters. To make them good, you basically write them as not like babies, but rather adults in baby bodies.
But in the episode you are literally showing on screen, she is doing that. She's acting so much smarter than a baby would normally do, and it made for one of the best episodes of season 4. That's another issue with Star and Mr. Enter, which is ironic since Star used to be Enter's editor. Not only will some of their points make no sense whatsoever, especially if you've seen the show they're talking about, but they'll sometimes have footage that blatantly contradicts what they're saying, like you just saw on screen.
Alright, I didn't get that much out of Louie. So, who's next?
Sometimes I wish I had 10 brothers.
And I wish you would not eat our communal peanut butter with your booger-picking finger.
Oh yeah, Lisa the dumbass. I'm sorry, you want me to say she's a genius? Well, I can't because she's not. You want to know why I used that random clip there? Yeah, what Lincoln did there is gross, and Lisa calling him out is definitely in the right, or at least in the right direction, but this is the sister that actually does poop studies on her sisters and brother just so she can focus more on her studies, which to me is much more gross.
That was in 1, maybe 2 episodes. You can't critique a character based on one of their actions. If they repeat those actions multiple times, that would be one thing. But simply judging someone's entire character based on one thing they did is dumb.
Lisa gets a lot of information wrong in this show.
You're gonna elaborate on what she gets wrong? No? Okay, cool.
One thing that does bother me from the Loud House is how 90s the show wants to be. Instead of only bringing the good things back from the 90s, they brought everything back from the 90s, including the bad stuff.
Besides characters forgetting lessons they learned by the next episode, what stuff are you talking about? See, this is what I mean. She doesn't clarify what she's trying to say. She says one thing and just lets it sit there.
You sound like you have a nasty cough.
Oh, let's just say I was getting some bad germs. Get it?
That's not funny. That's not funny. That's not funny.
I do like Lincoln when he explores his feminism side. He even challenges it and shows his good side in Roughing It. That was probably his best use of feminism.
Another issue I have, although this is kind of small, is that she'll often say stuff like, Nickelodeon was a very male-dominant network, or, I like when this character shows how feminine they are. When, number 1, Lincoln wasn't showing feminism, he was embracing the fact he lives amongst 10 sisters, and 2, Who the hell cares if Nickelodeon shows more male protagonists than girl protagonists? I'm not going into a show wanting there to be an equal amount of male and female characters. I'm going in to have a fun time. You can do that, but I'm not expecting that.
And speaking of...
Wait, what? She could clone herself? What the hell? I want to clone myself. I could be scripting a review, filming a plush video, and playing Smash Bros with my friends at the same time. This is bullcrap. I want to clone. Teach me Shadow Clone Jitsu.
Yo, what the fuck was that about? Don't you gotta go to work? Hell yeah, that's what these motherfuckers is for.
In all seriousness, I think here is a place I can discuss another problem I have with Star Giant Productions. She's not a good editor. I watched multiple videos from her, and they were very poorly edited. Just Stop has a section in his video on Mr. Enter, which, by the way, that video is really good. I highly recommend it, where he talks about her editing, so go watch that video, because he basically says what I'm thinking.
I'm sorry, but anyone that says this...
I win! Literally, my 300 win in a row! I am unbeaten by you chumps, because after your 300 wins, well, technically 303, but it's counted. Come on, Kaylin! Yes! First to apologize!
does not get my good graces.
I agree that Lynn is an absolutely awful character, but you're showing examples of her just being a sore winner. Yeah, that's annoying, but that's not the worst of her.
Luann was a character I believe could have done a lot good, but just didn't. Being the sister focusing on humor, they could have gone in depth with a lot of different brands of humor. But I don't know if you ever noticed this, but they do not do that at all. They focus only on one type of humor, one certain type, and that is puns. That is all that she has. Puns!
Okay, what? Did you just not pay attention to some parts of the show? Yeah, puns are her main source of comedy, but not her only source of comedy. She literally has an entire episode showing how she runs a business of her attending little kids' parties trying to entertain them. What are you talking about?
See, half the time the show wants to be down to earth and be taken deep and seriously and be a beautiful show. You know, something like BoJack Horseman or Hey Arnold. And yet the other 50% of the time, it wants to be wacky and off the wall and annoying like Pony Life or Bunsen is a Beast.
Okay, so first of all, to debunk that first thing, this is the same show that a 4-year-old has a PhD. I doubt the show wants you to take it as seriously as something like Avatar. Second, to debunk the second claim...
That's the fucking point!
I can't believe I had to explain this, but Star, damn it, wrong image. You've seen a lot of the advertising for the show, right? The Loud House 360 Center of Chaos. The Loud House, there will be chaos. The Loud House, campaign chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. This is literally the thing that made it so popular and almost as funny as SpongeBob at some times. It was absolutely insane. Saying the problem with it is it's too wacky and silly makes no sense. And you know what? I think that should be enough for you to get a basic understanding of everything wrong with this review. Because good God, I just started my 4th page of the script and we're not even halfway done with this. Not to mention, the rest of this review is just her reviewing the characters and rarely talking about episodes from the show. Basically, the same thing I've been talking about for a good majority of this video now. Actually, that's this review's biggest problem, if you even want to call it that. It isn't a review. It's a characters ranked worst to best list video. Like I said for Mr. Ender's Rise of the TMNT review, Star needs to rewatch more of the show and come back to accurately critique the show. And not just to analyze the characters and rarely talk about the quality of the episodes. If you want to see a better critique of the Loud House, just go watch Cartoon Chief's video. I'm MPK Reviews, and this script took me way too long to make, so I'm gonna slack off some more. Have a good rest of your day.
Took a leap through a box, super weird, to a swamp where frogs talk.